This video covers how to apply WaterGuard All-in-One Pro Textured, a patented world-first waterproof skim and plaster patch. As you can see, the Textured has got rough aggregate, which allows us to waterproof skim or plaster up to 1 centimeter and to patch up to 3 centimeters. This boundary wall is heavily affected by rising damp, where the plaster is coming off the brickwork and the paint is bubbling. Plaster straight over the bricks, and we tie that in by skimming directly over the plaster or paint for a lifetime's protection. 20 square meters took 2 hours for a perfect result. This product is designed to skim over parapet walls, directly over primed tiles, flat bitumen roofs, upstairs tiled balconies, and skimming directly over rough painted ceilings and walls. Add 4.5 liters of clean water to a mixing bucket for a plaster consistency, and if you are skimming, you can add an additional 500 milliliters to make the product easier to skim. Add the 15 kilograms powder into the water, mixing consistently. Mix thoroughly for 5 minutes using a mechanical mixer or geared drill and paddle. All-in-One Pro Textured can be mixed by hand, but you will require more water to achieve the correct consistency. And then wait for 10 minutes for the acrylics to activate and for the product to reach a workable consistency. For patching cracks, you can mix up a stiffer mix. Okay, very important. Always get rid of any loose plaster or paint or foreign matter. Then wet down the surface, getting rid of any dust and further loose material. This skimming consistency is 4.5 liters of water, and you can see how well the lightweight volcanic aggregate and acrylics help the product hold its shape on the trowel. Parapet walls you can build up to 2 centimeters with no cracking. When the product starts drying, you can back wet it using a block brush. And using a corner tool and trowel, mold the parapet capping. This house is built on clay with major moisture issues. Open up all the cracks and high pressure out loose material and dust. Fill the cracks with a textured product and leave them to dry. And then using a 5 liter to 15 kilogram mix, skim the entire wall at 2 millimeters to stop any micro cracks showing and ensuring a waterproof barrier for a full lifespan for your expensive primer and paint. 8 months later in a very wet summer and there isn't a crack to be seen. To get the walls smooth, you can back wet them whilst they are drying and smooth them out to a plaster consistency by pulling the acrylics to the surface with a steel trowel. And for perfectly smooth walls, you can sand them when they are dry. Parapet walls are also a major contributor to failing paint and plaster. High pressure clean them. If you have aluminium paint on your parapets, then prime them with Terracoat's surface primer. Allow it to dry and then skim them with the All-in-One Pro Textured, back wetting to smooth. This boundary wall is in a terrible state. The lime has been leached out of the plaster cement over the years from moisture. The plaster is coming off in sheets along the bottom of the wall. Here we are skimming directly over the bricks at about 15 millimeters thick, and then skimming directly over the strong plaster and paint further up the wall. About 15 minutes later, the guys are back wetting textured skim and smoothing out the skim with a steel trowel or a plaster blade supplied by rocks. These two gents chopped and prepped and skimmed 20 square meters of this wall in 2 hours using 3 buckets of WaterGuard All-in-One Pro Textured. WaterGuard All-in-One Pro is the complete skimming solution. Please contact Terracoat for any further information.